welcome to Newsroom's special Eid transmission. We'd like to wish our viewers a very happy Eid. Eid Mubarak. We're finally here. It's Eid time in this very, very difficult stage of our lives that all of us are witnessing all over the world. We've seen the whole of Ramzan pass by, and we've gone through the beautiful rituals in the month of Ramzan. However, we were all under lockdown. The lockdown partially reopened during Ramzan. However, it's been a Ramzan and Eid that we will never forget, although it's always special. But this time around, we were all experiencing very unusual circumstances. Amidst all of this now, what we're seeing is a lot of people have taken their focus off the celebrations of Eid and the clothing, etc., and the shopping, and have really begun to realize the importance of thinking about those who are less fortunate. Pakistan is a wonderful country where people are so open-hearted about others. There's so much charity going on all the time. It's something that makes us proud year in and year out. But this year it took a different level of awareness about the plight of people who are not so fortunate. We'll be talking about that with our guests, and also about how everybody has coped with this pandemic and how everybody is dealing with Eid this year with the coronavirus pandemic all over the world and what the world is going through. And today, joining us, we have some very special guests with us. We have Dr. Taira Shahid, who's a doctor. She's been working a lot during this COVID-19 pandemic around Pakistan and raising awareness, etc. We'll be talking to her about that. She's also a dermatologist, so we can get some tips from her about our skin and looking good on Eid. Also, we have with us Janzeb Khan, who's the president of Jawan Pakistan. Thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you very
much. It's so
much.
lovely to have you. You're both looking amazing, and I'm glad that you got the opportunity to figure out something to wear, because all our tailors were closed, our shops were closed. We didn't know, none of us knew where to go and get what, but we all managed something somehow. So let me begin with you, Taira. Just your idea about this Eid. It's a totally different Eid from what any of us have ever imagined. So how did you plan it out this year for yourself?
Well, it has been very, very busy ever since this whole thing started. So ever since Corona started and then Ramzan started. So it's been very, very different being a doctor, because almost every specialty just came down to one. We started doing general medicine, OPDs were closed, so all the doctors were more available on telemedicine. So that's a whole new world, right? So the world is actually exposed to more online, shopping, online doctors, online meetings. Everything is going digital. So till now, we used to only think, or we used to hear about all this, that the world will soon go digital, malls will shut down, and the West was actually moving in the direction. But now what happened is that everything of that sort has actually, swept into our nation or our country. But the thing is, yes, COVID has hit the world in a very, very serious manner, and it's something that we were not prepared for. It just tells us how our health system was so weak internationally. We believed we're up there, but actually we couldn't just handle this pandemic at all, and we mishandled it. I would say we mismanaged it at an international level. So many people lost their lives. So many people are still fighting the disease, and not just the disease. We're fighting the lockdown. We're fighting this, all this mass layoffs and this economic recession and everything. So this Eid is definitely very different from every Eid that we had before, but it's also a lesson. It has come to teach us something, and I think we should use this Ramadan and this time to learn a lot from it. We have to prepare ourselves. We have to change the way we think. We have to change our entire lifestyle, so that we are able to not just fight this pandemic, but any other pandemic in the future, or any other disease in the future, and equip ourselves to be able to face every sort of situation.
Right. Now coming to you, Janzeb, you're the president of Jawan Pakistan. Now I would take you as a youth representative in our program here. The youth of Pakistan, they're so full of energy and all. How have they been dealing with this lockdown and the frustrations that come with it? Because we saw places like in Italy and all, people came on the rooftops or singing songs, playing music, just to get a little bit of that frustration out. In Pakistan, we're a little bit more of a conservative society. People are more sort of inward, insulated and all of that. So how did the youth manage to cope with this entire lockdown?
Well, first of all, I would like to say Eid Mubarak to you and the entire team of PTV World.
Yes, thank you.
It's a pleasant day today. And secondly, I would like to present my salutations to Dr. Sahiba, because they are the first line warriors in Pakistan. And as you said, what the youth's role was there. Let me start from the point when this was Jawan Pakistan's initiative at 23rd March. When it was Pakistan Day, we initiated a trend that we should provide our salutations to all those frontline warriors, which are doctors and paramedical staffs, which are dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic and saving our lives. So we started a trend from that point. Our youth in Pakistan were very much dynamic, and they went on to provide salutations. And later on, we found that this trend came across Pakistan, and white flags were being raised for the salutations of these frontline doctors. So this was how Jawan Pakistan contributed on a very initial stage.
A lot of young people going around giving iftar
Now,
and
yes.
keeping themselves
Rations.
busy that
Yes.
way a lot.
Now let me come to the next point, that what we did in Pakistan. I think that Pakistani youth was really very responsible at this point of time. We never went like going on the rooftops or banging the utensils like the other countries did. We went practically. We went on the roads. We went into the slums. Many of our Jawan Pakistan youth in different districts of Pakistan, they reportedly went into the slums, where we had reportedly number of people which were under starvation due to lockdown. They were on daily wages. So we provided rations to them. We provided financial assistance to
How
them.
did you identify them? You just went into their
We have our representatives in each districts. Jawan Pakistan has their own representative in each district. The divisional president is responsible to identify the needy person, and then he gives out the data, and then our youth approaches them, outreach them, and then they provide them ration. We have distributed a large number of ration drive in this COVID-19 lockdown prior to Ramzan. So this was what our youth was engaged in, and it was most productive channel of youth to make in utilization. Now what I'm seeing the Prime Minister Imran Khan doing in Tiger Force that has recently been compiled, the same work has been done by the Tiger Force. It's a commendable job, mashallah.
Are they actually going out now and
They
doing
have
the
they
work?
have been designed to go out to educate the people among the people that this is a really deadly disease, and they have to be aware. They have to take certain measures.
Because
they have
yes,
to be
the awareness still needs a lot
yes,
of work.
because if you still go in the market, if you look at the malls, if you look at the bazaars, you do not find the SOPs being applied. So this is what the Tiger Force has been doing now. They are going to spread the awareness campaign, and obviously to help the needy, to identify the needy. This was what Jawan Pakistan was doing.
Right.
And
Because Prime Minister Imran Khan is big on the youth of Pakistan. He came in
Certainly.
power because of the vote
He
of
was
the
a symbol
youth
of
as well.
youth.
He's a
Exactly,
symbol
he
of
was
the
a symbol
youth,
of youth.
exactly. And they really, they idealize him. He's their icon,
Very
etc.
true.
So this is a great initiative that he made to
Very
get a
true.
Tiger Force together, and hopefully they can be mobilized properly and do
Properly,
the
and-
work that he wants them to, because it's a great idea, because the youth have so much energy. They need to be doing things all the time. You can't keep them locked in their homes. So that's a good
See,
way
if,
to do
if
that.
the youth is being locked in the home, this would be a big disaster for the social media. We would be utilizing our abilities and our potentials on the social media, and I think it's better to come on the ground to work potentially for the nation.
I think social media
but
use
yes.
has skyrocketed during the lockdown.
Yes, it has.
And I think everybody who previously didn't care much for social media interaction, they're all over the place on social media. What do you think about
Yes,
that?
I do, and but I have a little slightly different opinion about the whole thing. The lockdown means that there should be less people outside. There should be less people engaged in going around, right? So it is very important that there is only one organization that is authorized to do this. One set of trained people that the government has told or designated to be able to do this,
Properly
right?
trained is the
Properly
key,
trained,
yeah.
who are health professionals or who are trained in health, or they have undergone a specific training that is meant for this, and they're following all those protocols. What happens with us is, because of social media and because we want to do a lot of good, I'm not against people who want to do a lot of good, that's very good, but know what, everybody and anybody stands up to do good, right? That's good. But if it's done channelized by, under one roof, it's much better. Because what happens now is everybody comes out of their house, everybody goes buys ration from everywhere, and then everybody is going around distributing it to everyone. So you see a lot of beggars in the street. You see a lot of people who get into this habit of, waiting for ration and then reselling it. There's repetition, there's hoarding, there are people crowding the streets, there are people that you're actually killing the very purpose of lockdown. The lockdown was not meant to make this happen. The youth also needs to learn how they have to stay home. They need to learn the different things they can do while staying home. This Eid, they should be able to adopt to a new lifestyle, right? I think they should use this opportunity to do courses online, to improve their skill set. So once they come out of this lockdown, they have a newer degree, a newer skill, something else that they can use to earn, right?
Yeah,
so it's not only about making an entire nation dependent on just something that you give them. You don't give them the fish, you'll teach them how to learn to fish. You also instill in them patience and civil obedience. I think one thing that Pakistan lacks as a whole is civil obedience, right?
Yeah,
People need to
definitely.
understand that when a government takes over something or the government has designated a force, we have just this force to do this for us. If you need to really donate something, go donate it to this organization, because they are going to do it in a controlled manner. They're going to, record stuff. They're going to see it doesn't get repeated, and they're going to follow all the protocols, disinfect the things that they're taking to your house and delivering to them. And you don't have people in grocery stores and lines, and then so many people. I've actually seen groups and on social media, and people on social media posting pictures and pictures ever since this Corona thing started, where they go to these grocery stores, then a large number of people go and buy the stuff, then a large number of people, board these buses or Suzukis and then go around distributing it, and then they're having a huge party, right? And then at the same time, they're telling others, don't come out of your house.
Yeah,
so it kills the motive,
the
right?
Issue with there's a discipline issue in our country.
Yes.
That's very clear. I'm just going to ask Janzeb about that, but then I'll come back to you about the frontline healthcare workers.
Yes.
That is one of the main topics of this program, and we can't thank them enough. But Janzeb, tell me this, what Dr. Tara was just saying, the discipline amongst our people. We are not able to follow what the government is saying, follow SOPs, etc. I do think that a lot of our youth are educated and they do try and do things responsibly, but you do see a lot of ill discipline. You see, all these people out on bikes and doing stunts, and then a lot of times during the pandemic you saw them having gatherings, playing cricket, this, that, when they were not really supposed to be. So how do we instill this discipline in our youth especially, and the rest of our population, without coming down too hard on the public?
See, on a lighter note, being indisciplined is our national character. We have a culture like that because the thing is that there are two kind of behaviors. One is the side when you show your education, when you show your responsibility towards the nation, and the other side when you are irresponsible. Mashallah, whenever there is a kind of pandemic or any kind of situation in Pakistan, I have seen my youth or any youth of Pakistan coming out of their home and trying to be the workforce of the government, try to be the hands of the government to help the government out. And this is a very big gesture. I think this gesture lacks in Europe, this gesture lacks in the Western countries.
Yeah. And
this
we have such a huge young population.
Yes, we have the 64% population, and this 64% population wants to come out, wants to help the government. Yes, Dr. Sahiba is right that we should follow certain regulations by the government, but at the time when our force were on the ground, there were no certain regulations, and we had to do things at our own. The Tiger Force came later, but we were trying to play our part, our role in the society, which was a noble cause, I think, and we were doing a good job. And then we followed these certain SOPs that were laid down by the WHO. We were continuously following the Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Healthcare. He was telling the nation about the SOPs, and we were following them. We were totally equipped with the healthcare gadgets. We had masks, we had our hand sanitizers, we had our hand gloves, and we maintained a distance.
Yeah.
And this is how our youth went into the markets, and this is how our youth went into the slums,
Yeah.
and they helped the people who were in the time of need.
Absolutely.
So this is what the other side of responsibility is. That
Yeah.
is the
and
responsible side.
I think all, Prime Minister Imran Khan's initiative is great, that you need to channel that
Yeah.
energy, and you
Exactly,
need to
very
give
true.
direction, and you need to tell the younger people exactly where to go, what to do, what to follow. Otherwise, they are going to do it the way they know best, right? So definitely that
Definitely,
direction
that was
is
a
needed.
good initiative, and Tiger Force is, mashallah, has been designated with a few SOPs and certain guidelines. And I was seeing the other day those guidelines. It was, mashallah, very good and up to the mark. And I wish them all the best of luck, because
Yeah.
they are doing a great job.
Yeah, and then also I saw a lot of the people getting married also online and things like that during this lockdown. That was too cute. That was really
That's a
adorable.
news for me, by the way.
I saw a few of those from different parts of the world, not just
All right.
Pakistan, but why not, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you want to
it's-
get married, you can do it online and, make it simple. People had very simple weddings going on and stuff like that. That was something different. There was something unusual to see from those big, giant, occasions that we have with thousands of people. Suddenly, there's simple two-people weddings
I
going
think that's
on.
a lesson we have to learn. We have to become less opulent. We have to be
Yeah.
less flamboyant, less show off, and
Yeah.
become more simple in our lives.
Exactly,
And
and
we've
why
just
not?
realized after all this that we really didn't need to shop that much. Now that
Yeah,
all
you
these
don't.
old clothes are coming out of the
Yeah.
closet, and we discover, oh, they're not that bad. We can actually reuse them, right? So
Yeah,
I think it's a whole new learning opportunity for people to bond with each other, for families to spend time with each other, for people to understand
Yeah.
what they were missing out on. They were so busy just working all the time that they didn't realize they were working for the wrong things. What they actually need is just the basics, right?
Time at home.
Exactly, I
right.
would definitely agree with Dr. Taira Saiba. She's very right. This Eid, we didn't go for shopping. We said that I will not go for shopping because I think it's against the SOP right now, and it's not worth to go and buy certain things from the shop. Why not to wear your old outfits and
That's what I'm
donate the
doing.
same? Donate the same in a way of charity. Help somebody who's not having money at the moment. Help somebody whose Eid is being destroyed by not being financially wealthy. Help a small child by this, and that is the best way to contribute. So why to go for shoppings and go for online shopping if you can help somebody with those money? I was seeing a report the other day. In 2 cities of Pakistan, there was around 400 crores being spent on each shopping. So this was a big amount.
Yeah.
This could help a lot of families in Pakistan. This could help the government of
I
Pakistan
agree,
as
but
well.
on the flip side, all the small businesses that
Yeah,
are
they're
dependent
right.
on this during Eid time, imagine how they've suffered. I always try and see
Yes.
both sides of
You're
the
right
picture.
about that.
So yes, it's taught a lot of simplicity. It's changed our whole way of, running our lives and the whole economics of Eid and everything, in Ramzan and all of that. It's just really strange, and we all have to get used to it, right?
But all these things do have to run because you can't just lock them up. And I think our government has been really very responsible when they decided on a smart lockdown. It made more sense because I think less and less people are suffering economically compared to the rest of the world in our part of the world because they're opening up. And now that he's opened up completely, and but in a smart way, I think it's going to help a lot of businesses and people sustain. And that is very very important because we can't just rely on charity. We can't, and that's not a right model. The right model is good economy and sustenance for everybody. So everybody needs to work, everybody's business needs to run, everybody needs to have their household going.
And
it's
that's
very,
why,
very important that we support each other. And even if we have to help out each other, it's better that the way we can help out is if you're employing someone, if you have a lot of employees under you, then you make sure that you're paying all of them even when they were home. Maybe you can pay a bit less, but you still continue paying them. And if you do want to help out, if you're a landlord, then you cut down on the rent, on the bills, on whatever you can this way. And I think this Eid, we should have that kind of Eid where, without telling anyone, without clicking any pictures, without having to go buy something and actually physically give it, just, you have your phone, you have your apps, you can transfer bank account, you can just, waive off bills and rents and, make sure you give them half their pay at least. I think that would be the biggest service.
Absolutely. Now let me ask you this: with the changing environment and everything everything was closed up until a few days ago, right? Nobody really had time to make anything. I always get things made for my daughter, etc., and sometimes for myself. I'm not big on spending for myself. But this time around, Dr. Tar, what did you do? Did you take out something old? Did you order something online? How did you manage
actually,
that?
I've been propagating this to everybody since they had so much time at home. I said, when we were young, what we used to do is we used to take out things and, and attach sequences on them, do some embroidery, rag work, patchwork from here and there.
And
so
it
I
was
made,
fun.
so I made my entire family do that. So they all took out things that were old and then they joined it with new things. And then there was creativity, there was art, there was, there's something that they made themselves. It's more exciting. And then when they wear it, it's like a work of art. And once it's all
nice.
over, they can even actually use it to promote themselves elsewhere and even sell it out for that instance. So I think going for Eid cards
Tap
that
into
we
your
were missing.
artistic talents.
Yeah. So I think we should find more productive productive ways of spending our time. And and I would suggest even the youth, right? I agree they have a lot of rush of hormones and a lot of energy, but instead of just going out on the streets or using that energy, I think they should start studying more. They should start developing their skill more. They should work on this research. They should work on vaccine. I want people of Pakistan
I think
and youth
a lot
of
of them
Pakistan
were gaming more also.
Yes, so I want people of Pakistan, especially children of Pakistan, to use this opportunity to learn science, to understand science, and to I want them to come up with a vaccine instead of anybody else and sitting and waiting for somebody else to come out. So it's not just it's not just you have to be outside and running to spend your energy in a good way. You can also do it in this way.
Yeah, and even all the exams and the final assignments, assessments in school were on Zoom. So this is another thing that the younger people had to get used to. They had to get used to this new form of learning, etc. And I know that a lot of parents, like myself, were debating about how much gaming time kids should have and this, that, because if they're in the house, then obviously they're going to have more time, online with games, and also parents had to juggle a lot as well in this, pandemic. I'm just speaking up from the other side of the other generation.
You're so right. There's a lot of screen addiction coming up, a lot of psychological issues coming up, a lot of fights, a lot of domestic violence. And I think we need to, have other things to do as well, like gardening. I would really suggest that people start gardening, whatever space they have, they start having their own organic vegetables. It's going to be a good thing for the environment. It's good to build their immunity. And there's nothing like organic vegetables and fruits that you eat that are going to help boost your immunity, that you can fight infections in the future as well.
Absolutely. I think the new normal could also be that, learning to do more productive things at home like we used to do when we were kids, right?
Exactly.
When we didn't have so many apps and things and we weren't out and about, that our parents were strict, right? We had to do things at home. So that's how it was in my generation. I don't know about you all, but Janzeb, what about you? What did you do for your Eid clothes and your preparation and all with all the lockdown and everything?
It was, well, as I said earlier, that this Eid we didn't go for shopping. Because I believe that after this all pandemic and this COVID issue was going on, and we were working a lot for the community, what I believed in my personal capacity, that we should not be spending on ourselves anymore. We should be spending on the others, and this is how Jawan Pakistan was moving ahead. And we all across Pakistan, my team was motivated to do some charity on this Eid. Not buying their own clothes, but to let buy somebody else. And I've seen a lot of small children from the areas where people were not financially viable, and they were not having a proper Eid because their children were not having clothes. So we made this drive to give them Eid clothes. So this is how our Eid went, and this is how we spend on the others, not on ourselves. Because Alhamdulillah, if I open my closet, I have a lot of things to wear. Allah has been very kind to me, and I think that if Allah has been kind to me, I should be kind to others. And this is how we humans grow, and this is how we humans further contribute in society. So this is a good thing of our youth, that our youth is being enlightened, and they know their responsibility, and they are good with the humanity, they are good with the poor, and they want to grow and they want to come up. And this is, I think, this is the biggest Eid for Pakistan as a moment. 64% population of Pakistan is coming up with a big name with coming up with a big concept of charity and coming up with a big
and
concept of
empathy
humanity.
and compassion. That's
Compassion
very
and
important. That I think teaches us, coming from a country like Pakistan, where we see a lot of struggling and a lot of poverty. It teaches people like just to learn about people who are different from you and how to have a bit of empathy and compassion, and what struggles do they go through. None of us can even imagine what kind of struggles they go through, because
Exactly,
we
very
don't
true.
face them on a day-to-day
Very true, very true.
basis. So it's very tough. Now, coming to frontline health workers, because that is a main focus right now. We really want to thank them. All of Pakistan wants to thank our frontline health workers, the police, the armed forces, government officials, sanitary workers, everybody who's been out there working during the lockdown, while a lot of us just stayed at home and lived our comfortable lives. They put themselves on the line during the unknown. There was a huge unknown. Nobody knew what was out there. It was this invisible disease that was in everyone's mind. It was killing people, right? So they were still out there doing their job. So we'd really like to thank all of our frontline workers, whatever they are, medical workers, armed forces, security forces, sanitary workers, government officers, whoever they may be. Even media people have been out here working. All my colleagues, I'd like to salute them as well. So coming to medical workers now, Dr. Thara, you've been working a lot on that front with the coronavirus patients. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what happens is people think that, whenever a pandemic is spread, perhaps the other diseases cease to exist. That doesn't happen. People continue to have heart attacks, people continue to have stroke attacks, people continue to fall sick even if they're not corona patients, right? And you cannot ignore that big chunk of population that falls sick. Everyday children suffer from diarrhea or something else, and they require immediate attention as well. So it's not just frontline in terms of having a corona patient walk in and giving them some kind of care. It's also all of this attached to it. So all the doctors, all the lab technologists, the nurses, the nurse assistants, the cleaners, everybody else was on their toes all throughout this time as well. And people staying at home, people, because of all this anxiety, were falling more sick. People didn't have access to their regular medication, whether it was for hypertension or for diabetes, and they didn't know where to go. There were so many accidents. There was so much going on, and people
OPDs were closed.
And OPDs were
which
closed.
was
so
really tough on.
it was very bad, and it was very tough. So doctors had to be available 24/7 online, and they had to be available for emergencies on site as well. So it was really hard, and we had to be accessible to everybody, because that's the Hippocratic oath, right? When you become a doctor or a healthcare professional, when in times like this, you just forget about yourself and you're available at their service throughout. And then people started, they had had a minor allergy, or they had some kind of, just a normal flu or fever, and they were, freaking out. Maybe it's corona. They didn't know how to get tested. So we had like complete testing mechanism where our lab.
Were you available on some hotline or something
Yes,
like
we
that?
were. Yes, we were available online. All the doctors were available online. There's a number as well. There's there's video chat as well, and then we're available.
Is this a particular organization?
No, it's from the government as well.
The government
Yes,
1166
the
number.
1166.
Okay, you were
and
working with
yes,
that.
Yes,
Okay.
we're all working with all of that as well. There are other private organizations as well, but the government has designated because everybody was so sick from inside, staying home, unsure about what's happening. So, there's so much from everywhere. And then there was a huge population that didn't know whether they had COVID or not, and they wanted to be tested. And they were really scared of being tested. So
because
we had
it's allergy season.
Yes, exactly.
And a lot of us, including myself, we've been coughing for the last 3 months, not knowing what it is.
Exactly.
And you just want to be careful
So
and
I'd
get
really
that
like to
fear out.
salute the phlebotomist, or the person who goes and collects the sample from their house. They go there and they go inside and they take their sample from their throat or their nose, and they bring the sample back, and then they test it. The lab technologist tests it, and then the report is generated. So all of these people involved in all of this, whether it's the ambulance staff, whether the ones who are going and bringing the corona patient to the isolation center or to the ICU ward, or the nurse who's actually intubating or fixing the mask, they're the ones who are most susceptible to direct infection, right?
Yeah.
But they were doing it, and nobody stopped working, and everybody everybody is still
and
working
a lot
to
of
this
doctors
day.
did get coronavirus,
Yes, a
and
lot
we've had fatalities
Yes,
as
we
well,
had, and
unfortunately.
they have been martyrs for us, and we need to salute them, especially
Yeah,
the doctor
absolutely.
in Gilgit-Baltistan. He was one of the first ones to lose his life.
Very young,
Yeah,
though.
very
Very
young
young.
Yeah.
and
So
very,
he's all
yes.
very young age.
So, you know, they did, and they still are, and we still are, because every day we see so many patients, and we don't know if they might be infected or not, and we don't know if we get infected or not. But yes, we are following
and
all the
initially,
protocols.
I think the government, it took a little bit of time to get all the PPEs out to everybody.
Yes.
And now they're saying they're being made indigenously, so
Yes,
there's no shortage anymore.
there's no shortage
but
anymore.
obviously, initially,
Yeah.
no one was prepared for
But you know,
all the
at this
needs.
time, I would like to tell everybody it's not just corona. When you're a doctor or a nurse, you're subjected to a lot of these infections on a daily basis every day. And we are a house of infection. We have so much of hepatitis C,
Yeah.
we have so much of tuberculosis, and we have people losing our lives daily to these infections. And now that the monsoon is going to start, we're going to have again dengue and malaria and so many outbreaks as well. So we need to prepare ourselves, and you know, we shouldn't just think that it's just corona and during this these are the heroes, we have to listen to them. After this it's back to, oh, they're the ones who, you know, strip us of our money and blah blah blah. It's not like that. People, you know, doctors, healthcare workers, sanitary workers continue to work for you day and night, and they are actually out there, you know, saving you, and they're out there for you at your service. So you need to trust them, listen to them, and you know, follow all these protocols. They're for your own safety, they're for your own good, and precaution and prevention is always better than cure.
Absolutely. And then we had other frontline workers. We have our police, we had our civil servants who are out there trying to organize everything that needed to be done, police officers, the army. We were seeing them getting ill as well from the virus. So you want to add something to that?
So well, I've seen Commissioner Islamabad doing a wonderful job.
He's been doing a lot of work.
He's doing a lot of job, and initially, if we all remember, Barakahu was the center point of Islamabad. I-8 and Barakahu, these 2 points were identified as the most high alert points, and Barakahu was specially identified as the most high alert point in Islamabad. And the Commissioner Islamabad went himself into those localities where the highest rate was recorded, and he served himself. He went into the bazaars, he went into the
He's been an example.
He's been an example. Commissioner Islamabad was doing a wonderful job. And then we saw our obviously our doctors, frontline doctors, our paramedical staff. They were doing a wonderful job. All those people who were on the front line, spraying everywhere, they were doing
Sanitary
a wonderful job.
workers,
These are our heroes. I think that this Eid should be in their name. We should give this Eid to them, because they are the heroes of Pakistan. They have been doing a lot.
Also, throughout, if you look all over the world, how did you get your information? It was through all the reporters and people out there on the field, and you know, people who are working still to get information across. So that's why I keep mentioning media. It's not for myself. It's for the people who are. I mean, they've been here in their offices throughout. They've been on the fields, they're in the hospitals to try and get that. You know, reporters, we get them on our program all the time from PTV and outside, and getting you first-hand information, so you actually know what's going on. There's been a lot of false information or hype created that people say as well, but at the same time, at this time, it's so crucial to have access to that, you know, information as well.
Exactly, the media person were in the battlefield. They were actually dealing with the war. They were actually dealing with the weapon. So they were always there at the front line, and they were always there to bring us the latest information. So we should always remember them as our heroes, and obviously
And many of them tested positive for coronavirus.
Exactly,
many of the reporters
have been
and
tested positive. Many doctors have been tested positive, and we have a lot of respect for all of them, because I think these all are our frontline heroes.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, like moving forward about this new life of everybody being in their homes. One thing that Prime Minister Imran Khan mentioned in one of his press conferences was that if we don't stop the lockdown and we don't start going out, other diseases can start to increase, because people live in densely packed areas in a lot of parts of Pakistan. We have a high population density, and people live so close together that hygiene conditions are not good enough, and then illness spreads very fast. And he talked about TB, etc. So, Dr. Tahir, you tell us a little bit about that. How does that impact the other illnesses that happen in our society? Because like you said, we are a society full of malaria, dengue, typhoid, all kinds of unusual illnesses, and hepatitis, things like that.
Actually, we have to use this as a learning opportunity. And just as you mentioned, the media has been very responsible. And we have tried to, actually spread the message not just in the urban areas, but far-flung rural areas. And people have much more health awareness now. It's not just the government channels like PTV and many other private channels. Every channel almost has a daily program or a segment on health awareness. I myself do this segment on Suno FM. That's a daily program on Corona for almost an hour, and that goes out all in the all the regions, the rural areas, in their languages as well, and tries to explain to them what exactly disease is, what infection control is, and how you need to go about treatment. And what we need to understand right now is treatment is not only medication. For example, you don't have any medicines for this, and it doesn't always mean that you have to be locked down. Lockdown cannot always be a permanent solution. What you need to actually change in your daily lives is your health and hygiene routine. And it doesn't just stop at washing hands or using a sanitizer. It's your everyday routine of the place you live in, how you build your houses, how you plan your towns, how your drains are covered, how your waste management is managed, whether it's the covering of the dustbins, whether it's how you throw them off. And for example, for the youth as well, I would want him to actually have his youth channelized to do this as well, that they go around cleaning villages and cleaning towns and collecting garbage and ensuring a proper waste disposal
and
for them.
Showing some leadership in that.
And we have to lead from the front for that. We have to teach our all our nation as a whole that public defecation, public spitting, throwing, littering, it's also bad. The flies and everything are, and we have all our food stalls on these ganda nalas. You've seen that, right? There's a drain. There's so many and in many places there are reservoirs of water. Water is accumulated, dirty water in different corners. Nobody's cleaning them, and the water gets accumulated, and then it just becomes a breeding hub for mosquitoes. Our basic hygiene is lacking. We call ourselves Muslims. We take we take showers, we do ghusl, and we do wuzu 5 times a day. But we don't understand the meaning of this hygiene. Our personal hygiene has to be worked on. We really need to get very, very clean. We need to understand the importance of washing, importance of having our own brush, our own towels, our own, and importance of cleaning our washrooms. Our organizations can be fancy. Our houses are filled with marble and all these fancy stuff. But if you go into the washroom or the kitchen, it's really, really dirty. And that's something we need to be ashamed of and change as a whole. So, I think we have to work a lot on lifestyle modification, not just cleanliness and hygiene, but also everything in our infrastructure needs to be designed according to health and healthcare standards.
Because that's the basic. Because I think the thing that everybody came out with in this pandemic, and we're still living in it, it's not over yet, right? It's going to continue, and we don't know how long, is that your health comes first. That's the number one thing. And Dr. Tara just talked about hygiene. Janzeb, I mean, exercise, fitness, good nutrition, nutritious diet for everybody. I mean, in our entire lifestyle, we saw in the lockdown so many people come out on their bicycles and going for walks all over Pakistan. It wasn't just in Islamabad. We saw a lot of groups of families out. Even now we see during the lockdown. So the new normal as far as health and fitness is concerned. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that there was a famous quote by John Alter. He said that if you want to judge any country's responsibility towards hygiene, look at their washrooms and look at their traffic. If their traffic rules and if their washrooms are tidy enough, the country is going on a very good track. Unfortunately, we lack both of them. Our washrooms are not that tidy as they should be. And our traffic, we all know about that. We should not comment on that any further. Yes, this pandemic has taught us a lot about hygienic and
good health
and good health.
Fitness.
Obviously, the farman of our Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that Safai nis iman hai, that came into practical means. I found myself, I found the people around me washing their hands, going for wuzu, being very particular about their health. This all was being taught 1400 years back by our religion, and now the pandemic have told us to enforce it. So yes, I think that after this normal, the new normal, I can't guarantee that this thing will remain in practice, because as our culture, our nation, the culture brought up, it will take some time further to be in line for this hygienic.
Okay, so
point
now
of view.
I'll ask you, Dr. Tara. After this pandemic, what is the biggest lesson or thing that you've learned that we need to change about ourselves, the new normal going forward? Because the WHO has said we don't see any end in sight. We can't give a definitive time when this is going to be over. So how do you see our lives now going to be? This Eid now, we saw Ramzan passed and everything. Going forward, what is our life going to be like? Are we going to be going to malls? Are we going to be staying home more? Should we learn how to stay home more?
Yes, actually we should, but that's not going to happen, right? We have to go on. Life has to move on, and social life is going to get back to normal. What we need to learn is how we have to fight it. So we have to build our immunity. And just as you mentioned, good nutrition, good organic nutrition, saying no to processed foods, especially
Because,
processed meat. Yes.
Here, I'm going to interrupt you because the people who had pre-existing health conditions were at higher risk. Elderly
Right,
people,
yes.
people who were unwell already,
Yes,
were
already,
getting higher fatalities.
Yeah.
So good health is an underlying thing.
Exactly. So, you know, we can't just stay home. We just can't work on this that, oh, we're not going to go here, we're not going to go there. But what we need to really work on is how we're going to build our immunity. How are we going to get stronger?
And Jahanzeb, quickly, what do you think that we've come out with, because we're coming to the end of the program?
Well, I think that we have come out with hope. We have come out with a bright future, inshallah. I would like to say that this is not the only pandemic the world has seen so far. There have been other pandemics in the history. We have seen many wars in history. There was World War I, World War II went on, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and the wars with India. Everything came to the humanity, but we survived and we thrived and we moved on. So inshallah we will move on as a nation, and we will come out of it, and we will be inshallah more responsible towards our national goals, inshallah.
Absolutely,
and
inshallah.
things will be very good, inshallah.
Right, thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you.
Tahira, Jahanzeb Khan, for joining us on our program and on this wonderful Eid during this very unusual time. Thanks for joining us, and thank you to our viewers for watching our program today. We hope you have a wonderful Eid, and especially we'd like to give a shout out to all our frontline healthcare workers, our police forces, civil servants, media people, sanitary workers, everybody who's been out there working for us during this very difficult time. We hope you have a wonderful Eid, and we learn how to be a cleaner, healthier, fitter society, and learn how to spend more quality time at home as well, what we've learned from this entire pandemic and lockdown. Thank you for joining us on our special transmission of Newsroom. We'll see you on our next program. Bye-bye for now.